Today on the channel is the return of the Kyle Peterson Top 10, and today we got a special one in honor of 48,000 subscribers on the channel. We're counting down my top 10 most wanted.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 10. A Thursday tradition here on the channel is every Thursday we're counting down my top 5 or top 10 favorites of something. And today, in honor of 48,000 subscribers, I want to thank everybody for subscribing to this YouTube channel. Dangerously close to 50,000 subscribers. If we can hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of March, we are going to do a massive giveaway. We'll do 5 giveaways here on the channel. So make sure you subscribe. If you have not, tell a friend. You know the whole drill right there. But today, in honor of 48,000 subscribers, we're doing something a little bit extra special right here. We're doing a most wanted countdown. I did this about a year ago. We'll see how this list looks now because, you know, I got a few toys coming in through the door each and every week. But I have top 10 figures or maybe toy lines, depending, that I'm looking to track down. We all have a most wanted list. We all have things in our radar we're waiting to try to get a deal on. And for me right here, these are items I'm trying to get a deal on. And obviously, sometimes you see deals on these. There's some heavy hitter figures in my list. Maybe you can't afford them at the time, too. I've had that where somebody comes to me and says, hey, I got this. I'm like, I just don't want to spend the money right now. But in a dream, if I had all the money in the world, this is what I'd be diving into. And of course, we're going to start at number 10, work our way to number 1. Number 1 being my most wanted figure right now as we film this video. Going to ask you to put your list in the comments down below and start at number 10, work your way to number 1 as well. So without further ado, let's kick it off. Number 10. All right, we're beginning the top 10 list, of course, at number 10. And the number 10 one on this list, I just in the last couple of weeks decided, you know what? I want to collect this toy line. I want to pick these ones up. I've seen them around for years, never dabbled in it, but something switched, something clicked in my head where I said, you know what, I do want these. And now I will be keeping a lookout at toy shows. I did put an eBay save search in there, so I'm on the hunt as of right now. We're talking about CMLL, original San Francisco toy maker, figures from back in the 90s. Very similar to the OSFTM WCW figures, except this time with luchadors. And there's been many of these over the years, of course. But something about the OSFTMs, I got those WCW vibrating figures over the last year or so. I have all the old school WCW ones of this style. I feel like I can smoke and mirrors and put them in with the WCW ones. So nothing that's going to just totally break the bank. I'm looking for minty loose for these ones. That is my plan. If I have to buy a couple on card to open them up, maybe it'll be a good video on the channel. We'll see. But not the hardest thing to ever collect, but a little bit more challenging as years go by, like everything else. But one I just recently decided, you know what, I'm all in, and that's what I'm going to do. The CMLL OSFTMs, they're on the hunt list at number 10. Here we are at number 9, and number 9, very nostalgic for me. A very nostalgic hunt going on here at number 9, as I had these as a kid somewhere along the line. I don't know if they got sold in a garage sale, given to the Goodwill. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but we're going to the Imperial Universal Monster figures of, I want to say mid-80s or so is when those came out. I distinctly remember buying those at Toys R Us. I remember they had the little rubber band sticker on them for the price tag. I still have my childhood Frankenstein and Dracula. However, the Mummy and the Wolfman, both missing from my collection. I have those with my dad's Universal Monster Aurora model kits. And I said, you know what? Why don't I complete this set? I had them as a kid. They're not, once again, going to break the bank. However, you got to find them in good condition. I want the paint to be good on these. Would prefer Lucy Mint, of course. But definitely a nostalgic one that, you know, you just start thinking about your childhood sometimes and things you played with, things you did stuff with. And those were very, very cool to me as a kid, thinking I had my own version of my dad's Aurora Monsters. Obviously a lot cheaper, a lot different style figure. But very, very cool. So that is one I am hunting for as well. I almost bought them and then I got outbid on eBay and I haven't really looked since. but I do need the Mummy, I do need the Wolfman to complete the quest at number 9. We're feeling great at number 8. You guys know how we do it here on the channel, but the number 8 selection is one of my biggest collecting regrets over the last couple of decades, on all honesty here. This one came out, it was exclusive to a G.I. Joe convention. It was part of the G.I. Joe 25th anniversary line, which I have almost every single one from that. I'm just missing a few key pieces, unfortunately, and this is one of those ones. And this one, very hard to get in this day and age, and it melds two of my favorite worlds, G.I. Joe and wrestling together. You guys probably know where it's going. It is the 25th anniversary convention exclusive, Roddy Piper. Man, oh man, this thing came out, I remember the weekend after the show, a bunch of those going up on eBay, things like that, you know, 70 to 100 bucks. I'm like, there's no way I'm paying that. It'll come down, it'll come down. Well, it never came down, and now we're at like $500, $600, $700 for this one the last time I looked. So very, very difficult to get, and I can't bring myself to fork over that kind of coin for that figure as much as I want that one. And I'm missing just a few other ones. I'm missing the Mailaway Footloose, the Mailaway Dial Tone. I think I'm missing one of the Zoranas, the one in white. There's just a few I'm missing, but the Piper is the biggest missing key piece to that collection for me. So hopefully one day I can hit it. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but you believe me, I will be looking out for that one. I will try to get it one day. And if I win the lottery, maybe it'll be first purchase. We'll see what happens. Probably not first purchase, but we're up there in a top 10 purchase, that's for sure. Roddy Piper, easy for me to say, coming in at number 8 from the G.I. Joe line. We've reached the number 7 spot. Number 7, we're going to wrestling once again. This time we're going to the Mattel Elite line. We're going to one of those very hard to get Warrior exclusives that were made for just Warrior back in the day. By no means will I ever be able to collect those on card. The finances just aren't going to account for that one. However, I do have loose versions, and you guys have seen these in the background for me right here. There's one I'm missing. There's only one I'm missing loose. It is the Warrior America version there. Of course, there was a Jakks Class Superstars version, but we also got one from Mattel. Would really like to get that loose, but I don't want to spend thousands of dollars either. If I could get it for $400 or $500, maybe we'd be talking, but I really hope to get that one of these days. Definitely never going to fork up the 10 grand or whatever it might cost to get a carded sample. But one of these factory rejects, I would take one of those all day long and twice on Sunday. And that's why that's at number 7 in my top 10 list. Next up on the countdown, number 6. And number 6, much like that Roddy Piper, this is one of those ones I kept putting off. I'll get him someday. Someday never came, and now they are through the roof. What are we talking about? We're going back to the 90s. Oh, the glory day of my playing days. We're going to the WCW Galoob line, and we're talking the UK Galoobs. The ones that we had no idea. If you lived here in America, or at least I had no idea, they even existed. Not till the internet came many years later. Very similar to the Hasbro green cards. Didn't even know that was a thing until I saw them on the internet. At first, I thought they were just coming to wizardry or canceled figures or customs. That wasn't the case, and same thing with these Galoobs. Now, obviously very expensive to get Big Josh with his accessory, Lex Luger with his chain, that kind of stuff. Very, very hard to get, and I've passed up many of these figures over the years just saying, I'll get them down the line. Well, like I said, it never happened. I never picked them up down the line. Outside of the Freebirds, I got those very cheap once upon a time, I think $10 each. Couldn't pass that deal up. But the rest of them, the repaints, the Dustin Rhodes, I should say I do have one Elegante in my collection. I did get a screaming deal on that over the last year or so. So I have 3 of them, but I got a long way to go and a short time to get there. Yes, Todd McFarlane like a young Jerry Reed. That is exactly right. One day, maybe, I don't know. As we see the price on those jump up and up and up, I don't know if that's happening, but one of these days I'd like to complete all the different versions of Sting. I mean, I'd like to have them all, but Sting is obviously a priority for me. So maybe one day we'll see what happens, but definitely always keeping my eye out for the Galoob WCW UK editions at number 6. Here we are, middle of the road, number 5. You got your list together? Put it in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. You guys know we got videos every single day, including countdowns every single Thursday. But number 5, we just kind of referenced a former gimmick of this guy in the number 6 one. We talked about Elegante. Number 5, we're going to Giant Gonzalez, and one of the white whales of the Jakks Classic Superstars line I'm going to talk about here at number 5. If you guys did pick up my book, cheap plug, now available digitally on Kindle, of course, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, that whole thing. It is the complete guide of the Jakks Classic Superstars series. This is a figure that apparently does exist. I've talked to a few different people. I got pictures from different people. saying, hey, I have this in my collection, and apparently it was just kind of a factory second that went out there, and it went to South America, India, stuff like that, and apparently they used to come up on eBay from time to time, totally under my radar. I didn't know about it until I was doing some super fine research for the book, of course. It is the classic Superstars Giant Gonzalez, but more of a gray color tone to him. So a little bit of different color change to that one there. Very, very rare. Like I said, I don't think there's ever been an on-card sample. It was basically a factory reject, and we know when Jakks lost the license, they sold tons and tons of loose figures from the factory for peanuts out to India, South America, and places like that. And apparently a few of these have came around. I've heard of people having 4 different ones in the world. I've never had anybody want to sell it to me. I know one guy I talked to pretty regularly for a little bit, and he was just not willing to sell his piece. So I would love to have that. You know me, I'm a classics guy at the end of the day. It's one most people don't even know about, or let's be honest, probably even care about. However, for somebody like me that loves the classics line, I would love to have something like that in my collection. Maybe one day, but probably not going to happen. But we'll see. You never say never in the toy game, I guess. And that's where the Giant Gonzalez comes in at number 5. Countdown rolls on to number 4, and number 4 I almost bought a couple of years ago. I passed on it. I don't know why, probably because of price at the time. Don't see this one pop up very much, but every once in a blue moon it will come up. We're going all the way back to the WWF LJN line of the 80s, but we're going to one B. Brian Blair, and there is a variant Brian Blair figure, of course part of the Killer Bees. It's one with no stripes on his trunks, just straight yellow trunks. For whatever reason, there was a lot of those that went out once upon a time without the black on there. Now, obviously, a lot of LJNs lost to time, lost to dumpsters, Goodwills, things like that. But there is still a few of these that come up from time to time. And once again, I'm looking for a nice minty version of this one. Getting harder and harder as the years go by, but I really would like to find this. And I really do kick myself a couple years ago not picking that one up, because I really haven't seen another one since. But one of these days, we'll see if I can do it. Maybe I'll find it, maybe I won't, but it is on my list at number 4. We're seeing a little bit of a theme in this countdown here of missed opportunities and passing on things and playing the long game, and the long game really not working out. And that's where we're at once again at the number 3 selection. This time we go back to the WWF Hasbro line. I have all the WWF Hasbros except one, and it's one I've passed on numerous times, too numerous to count. Now we're in the $1,000 range, and I don't want to go over thousands of dollars on this figure, at least not right now, I do not. It is the Hasbro Mailaway Undertaker, the missing piece of my Hasbro puzzle. It really sucks when you're only missing one figure, but that's the way the old cookie crumbles from time to time. You know, action figure collecting, it's not for the weak of heart. Let me tell you, but hopefully one day I pick it up, but I don't want to spend $3,000, $4,000 on the Mailaway Taker. And once again, I'm okay with a loose version of this one, as I don't like how they display in the baggie anyways. I don't know if I could bring myself to unbox the baggie, but if I could find somebody when selling a loose one at a good price, maybe I would dive in on that one. But it is the long game, and the long game continues at number 3. Dangerously close to the top spot. We're at the number 2 selection here, and the number 2 selection used to be farther down the line, a little bit higher up the line as of right now. It is the ECW OSFTM ring and cage set. Now, I did get this many years ago, mint in box, so I'm very happy to have a mint in box version. I have a complete collection of mint in box ECW OSFTMs and loose versions of them, except I am missing a loose example of the ring, and the ring comes up fairly often, a lot of times scuffed, dented up, broken ring ropes, missing pieces, things like that. So I am looking for a minty loose one, or a very damaged box one I could unbox with all the pieces in there. But I've been wanting this one for a long time. I've just missed out on some bids before. I've sent some offers in on eBay, and while the offer was waiting, you know what happens. Somebody snipes in there and gets it. Just really bad luck trying to search for this one, and like a lot of the other ones on this list, not coming up as much as it used to, so I am very hopeful I can track this down one of these days, as I want it to be minty complete. I would even be okay if it's missing the Sabu and RVD, because I have those loose in my collection. So even if I could find them without those, I'd be perfectly happy. But the long game continues, and hopefully soon I find the OSFTM ECW ring set. But that leaves only one. What is my number 1 most wanted figure right now? Stay tuned. Here we are, we're at the number 1 spot, my number 1 most wanted figure. Will I get it? I don't know. Maybe one day before it's all over, maybe I will. And I'm really entertaining in my list, my to-do list, of course, that I have. I'm really entertaining the thought of one day I'm going to sell pretty much all my collection. I'll keep a couple of pieces with me, but when I do sell it, say I sell all these Mattel Elites, you know what? I'll probably pool that money and I will buy this one just to have. I want this. This is what really action figure represents to me. And you could go back to another top 10 list on this very channel, way back in the infancy of the channel. Count down the top 10 Ultimate Warrior figures of all time. Check out that video. You can find a little bit more about my history for that figure. It might bring you to tears. It just might. But the number one figure for me, the most wanted, is the Grand Toys LJN Ultimate Warrior mint on card. I have a minty loose one, but I want one mint on card. Hopefully one day that happens. That is my epic grail figure. That is the biggest moment outside of maybe the aircraft carrier for me from G.I. Joe, where I got that as a kid and it just changed everything for me. Everything changed with that Ultimate Warrior figure. And getting that figure and being able to take that into your childhood playing Fig Fed when he is just everything to you in wrestling. You're young, impressionable, you absolutely love wrestling. To get that Ultimate Warrior figure where he never had a figure before, getting that one, having him run through the whole roster, just playing with it, reenacting things. It was such a magical time, and I still remember everything from unboxing it, opening it, the package, the present, getting that present, looking at it in the package, unboxing it, putting the Warrior poster on my wall, bringing him into the Fig Fed, for years being my champion and favorite figure. Just such a special figure for me for nostalgic reasons, playability reasons, you name it, that was it. There was such a defining, it's like one of those memories that's locked in your head. I can still remember where I was opening it. I remember my bedroom around the corner, going in there, putting it in the LJN ring. Just all of that always speaks to me, and the Warrior speaks to me as well, apparently. But man, oh man, if I could ever track this one down. But once again, an extremely expensive piece. But that's where I say, if I ever decide it's time to get out of everything, you know what? I'll always keep my Lucy Minty Warrior. I'll always keep that one if there a day ever comes where I do get that one. Would be amazing in my collection. So we'll see what happens. It would definitely be a statement piece. It would definitely be a piece that really means something to me. And maybe one day we'll track that one down. But number one, without a doubt, number one is the LJN Grand Toys Ultimate Warrior black card from way back when. So there it is. That's my top 10 list. Got your top 10 list? Put it in the comments down below. And of course, like I said, make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is the 48,000 subscriber special. We're dangerously close to 50,000 subscribers. I got an idea for the top 10, 50,000. Stay with me for that one. Make sure you subscribe and check out my other YouTube channel while you're at it. Subscribe over there. Check out the Patreon for early access to all the videos from both YouTube channels. A lot of content over there and more content growing every single day. Appreciate the support, of course. Check out my sick dance moves on TikTok. SirPaul64 on the X, the _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, and on Instagram. So for my top 10 most wanted, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.
We're going to the end of the line.